Hello everyone, I'm Black Marvin. I'm a progressive psychedelic trance artist, I'm a professional sound designer, and I'm also a teacher for electronic music production. Today, there's a feature inside Thorn that I think is overlooked, and I want to draw your attention to it. I worked on a lot of presets for Thorn, and even right now, I'm working on some more presets. So I guess the inspiration for that video came from that. There's a function that is overlooked inside Thorn, and it's very useful in order to shape the sound. And we're going to expand on that today. If you need some free tools for Thorn, because it's one of my free synths, so I made some free tools for it. The link is in the description. There's some oscillator presets, some harmonic filter presets, and some arpeggiator presets. So you can go and grab that. It's free. Also, if you need some presets for psytrance for Thorn, link is in the description as well. I made Epsilon Psytrance Essential for Thorn, and it's great. I love it. It's one of my favorite synths, and I'm not trying to hide it. So yeah, link is there. Also, if you want to know more about sound design, Thorn, Psytrance, Psytech, mixing and mastering, there's a lot of these topics that I cover on the channel. There's also more content about Thorn coming up, so don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And now, enough talking, let's start working. So we are inside Thorn, and there's these features I want to show you. Usually when you don't know a synth, or when when you're just starting in a new synth and you want to get something, you'll for sure look into filters. You will look into, if it's a wavetable synth, wavetables. Thorn is not a wavetable synth, but it is. There's like oscillators that resemble the concept of wavetables, and you can switch, the position in there. So, these are like, these are the classic pressure points where usually tweaking these will change the sound. So these are the usual go-tos pressure point that you usually go for to look and to, get a special sound or to start shaping the sound. There's also the effects section. But yeah, there's this feature in Thorn. If we go into the generator section, into your oscillator one, and well, all the oscillators have that feature. There's these two here. There's sub one and phaser. So first, I'm gonna set myself a quick arpeggio. Let's say gate 0.5. I'm gonna get a low pass just to get something going. So we can preview in context, and then I'm going to talk to you about these two. So first, this sounds like this. It's just very basic, and I want to keep it basic for the demonstration. First, there's this sub oscillator. You have sub 1, sub 2, and sub 3. These are different shapes, and you will get slightly different results. Just listen to what it does when we bring a bit of that sub oscillator, and I will put it on 1 octave higher so we can really preview properly. So we really get a thicker sound, and there's another sub layer basically that appears. What's really cool is that you have 3 oscillators in Thorn, but now with this sub oscillator, we have basically sort of 6, like 3 to 6 possible oscillators, which is really cool to get some nice thick sounds. And thick is the middle name for Thorn because, man, this is so fat. So this is sub 1. I will cycle through the 2 others. I think the one that sounds the most full is sub 1, but the 2 others, they are a bit thinner, but with different tones. So it's really cool. Most of the time I stay with sub 1. Now, the main event of today's video, I would say, is this one right here. It's the oscillator FX, they call it. So you have phaser, screamer, wah, notch, shift, comb, octave, and primes, and you have some kind of, these are effects more, and these are some kind of warps. So if you're coming from, Serum Vital, the I will say the usual ones because they are the most common one. But if you're coming from these synths, you'll know these FM, RM, sync, and all of these. It's just another type of sync, and there's a pulse width modulation. So I really want to show my favorite because, yeah, like I said, when we try to shape the sound, we really think about filters, but these are very good to shape the sound. And the thing is, in Thorn, it's much more subtle. In Serum and Vital, it's really like put up front that you use these. But yeah, most of the time these are overlooked. So I will cycle through a couple of them, and then we're going to comment on my favorite ones and what they do. So this is Phaser, and honestly, I think this is Thorn written all over it because you really get these like spectral like phasing kind of happening, and it's really cool. And there's no filter yet, and I don't know, I feel it's so colorful. It's not subtle at all, so it's really nice. And yeah, Phaser, I use this one a lot. Screamer. Again, very intense. Mathematically, I'm not sure about what this does, but it seems to be like something along those lines of like syncing and but yeah, it's pinching the wave a lot, and it sounds good. I'm gonna drop that back to 1 octave lower and try to scream again. Very good for psytrance sound design, and even like a drum and bass and just aggressive stuff, aggressive and expressive. So man, really cool. And honestly, in terms of, not the mathematical fact behind it, but more in terms of creativity, I would definitely recommend seeing these almost like you would see filters. And if we talk about sound design, let's bring the LFO one here. Let's get a random step. We're not gonna have it on bipolar. We're not gonna have any fade in, and mod matrix gonna go all the way. And now listen to what we get. Yeah, there's something really cool happening. We would need to tweak a bit the timing and everything to really get something. It felt a bit off, but I think you get the point. How like you can get something that sounds very psychedelic, and it's almost like very vowely. So this is nudge. I did disable the LFO because I just want my mouse to scroll over it. And let's listen to nudge. It's basically like a nudge filter in the sound. More subtle, but great to add movement in pad-like sound. There's shift. This is some kind of spectral pitch shift. There's comp, which we can expect it to sound like a comp filter. This is octaves. This adds some sort of like octave duplication, which again sound, if you're trying to sound wider and, there's the sub function, but if you play with the octave too, you can, it starts to build a lot of sound on one oscillator only. So if you got all these working like this, you can get something pretty thick. There's primes. So I'm not super sure about what this one does, but it reminds me about some kind of harmonic prime shift, which is really cool. Now go into the warp-like features. There's FM and for this one to work, we'll need to bring in oscillator 2, even though if this one is, we're going to put the volume all the way down, you know, very similar like Serum or just a lot of synths that has that FM function, because in order to frequency modulate something, we need some, you know, some source signal. Yeah, so now we have that, but the volume is all the way, so we're still hearing only the first oscillator. So as always, if we change the source, we change the result. So that was FM, there's RM. Much more subtle. There's sync. Sounds like your usual sync, but really cool. There's the W sync. And finally, there's the pulse width modulation. Pulse width modulation is, I would say, another of these, you know, I said that about the notch, but it's just really cool to bring, whenever you want to bring subtle movement into a preset. So you like the bass timbre of it, but you want to have just a bit of movement. Pulse width modulation, it's great for that, as well as notch. You know, it's I would say it's that kind of feature. And that's it for these two very cool features of DS Thorn, the sub oscillator and the oscillator effects. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new today and that it's gonna help you in your sound design, and maybe it's gonna help you fall even more in love with DS Thorn. If you need some help learning electronic music production, I have a community of students, and there's some one-to-one lessons, some group lessons, and much more. There's some free sounds, like a couple times in a year, I drop some free sounds for my students just straight up from Fractal Sounds. And yeah, it's a community, so you know, there's that sense of community. So if you're interested, you can reach me on Instagram and we can discuss how I can help you become a better producer. And I will see you in another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy producing.